The Bible says that we should guard our hearts. Faith cometh by hearing. Now, if you are opening your ears to wrong information and messages, you might find yourself doubting the information that you have. Artists are cowards. The actors are cowards. You know, they think that if they rise against the power, the powers that being, they won't get the jobs.
Yeah.
We are 30 years into democracy. We still see artists dying poor.
Yeah.
Because nobody has responded or has answered to that question. What leads to artists dying poor?
As a pastor, I stand on the podium almost every Sunday inspiring people that they can be anything that they want to be. Shalom. This is your host, Pastor Enoch Phiri. Welcome to Taking Dominion. You know, ladies and gentlemen, the concept of taking dominion is about occupying a place or a space according to God's purpose and design. And today in the studio, I'm honored to have the Member of Parliament, Honorable Eugene Mthetwa. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much, Sir Pastor Phiri.
Amen.
I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful.
I hope our listeners, even our viewers at home, other people, I often say that people listen with their eyes.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm saying listeners, because they are listening with their eyes. I hope they will enjoy today's episode.
You know, I've got so much interest in your life, Mthetwa. I know many people in South Africa know you as a man that wears many different caps. And I would love to go through those little different caps that you wear, which contribute so much to South Africa in general. And I want us to start by perhaps sharing your story of salvation, because I need to establish that you are a child of God, isn't it? Share with us rather your story of salvation.
I couldn't have escaped that one. Yeah. I was born in a family of two pastors. My mother was a pastor on her own, not by association to my father. They met at Bible school. And then I got married to Archbishop Botona's daughter. And her mother also is a pastor by her own right.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So I was in between the prayers, so I couldn't have escaped that one. Yes, I did give my life unto Christ by accepting him as my Lord and Savior, having died on my behalf, for my sins. And the message that many are still missing. The message of the cross.
Wow.
So I did indeed give myself unto Christ.
Wow. You know, the message of the cross is the message. It's a message that nobody must miss, especially while you are alive.
We were arguing this morning with somebody in the house.
Okay.
He's saying that, I need to get this book of Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
And I'm asking, But why? You're coming from International Assemblies of God, where the Bible is like a novel.
Yeah.
You can't.
You read it back to back.
Yeah, you can't make a mistake when you're preaching at International Assemblies of God. Immediately when you finish, they would come to you and say, "Aye, Pastor, this part, according to the book of photo, that's not." So I'm saying, why would you want to go that? The Bible says that we should guard our hearts. Faith cometh by hearing. Now, if you are opening your ears to wrong information and messages, you might find yourself doubting the information that you have now. And I say to her, look, what is the difference between Jehovah's Witness doctrine and our doctrine as Christians? The Jehovah's Witnesses, they say Jesus Christ is not the way. Doesn't exist, or he does exist as the Son of God, but not the way. The ultimate power is God, But the Bible on its own, it says, you cannot come through to me, but through Christ himself.
Yes.
You know. So if you take out Jesus Christ from the Bible, you don't have a story.
Absolutely.
Totally no story.
Absolutely.
So I'm just saying that, there's those things that we keep on, coming across, especially in our families. We argue, we debate, but you see that indeed people are misled. The Bible says that my people perish because of lack of knowledge, And in the last days, the Bible says in the last days, many people will backslide because there'll be so much preaching about the gospel, but we'll be having false prophets in the last days. And people are starting to show that they're following everything. I mean, it is not by default. You see people drinking petrol and saying that's Christianity.
That's crazy.
I mean, how do you get sprayed with a doom and you say, no, hallelujah?
That's madness. Now, Honorable Mthetwa, you see, most people recognize your sound years ago when you played for Lucky Dube, the late.
The keyboards,
Yes, would you please go through that journey with the Lucky Dube, the legendary?
Well, it was 1989 when I joined Lucky Dube. We were coming from a national tour with Abo Messi Pakela. I was playing for Messi Pakela, Chaklas, Aliket, Zone 3, Casino. And then Lucky Dube saw my skills during that tour. And when he was going to United States in 1989, he then decided, please come with me because I need you to come and play piano, keyboards. And I did so, and it never stopped. After 1989, every year we were all over the world. I think we only spent something like a week in a year back home. The rest we were living in summer. If it is summer in the United States, we're there. If it's summer in Japan, we're there. And coming back home in December, which was summer. That's what happened. I was part of that band. We recorded music, live recording, where I think he's the person who baptized me with this Mr. Mthetwa thing. I'm the only artist who's called Mr. Mthetwa in the industry.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Apart from William Mr. Mthetwa, Mr. Everything.
Oh, yeah.
He's Mr. Everything.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Mthetwa. When you listen to the live recording of Lucky Dube at Standard Bank Arena, when he introduces all the members, he introduces them by name. When he comes to me, he says Mr. Mthetwa on keyboard. So it was prophetic because in a way he was talking about my journey in the future, where I will be regarded as a Mr. respected as an artist.
Powerful.
Because artists are not respected, which then made me again to take this posture of being a cultural activist.
Okay, beautiful.
I started being a cultural activist even that time. 1989, I was already doing some cultural activism. Even within the band, I would decide we're not dancing today. He said that he's the one who's known to be Lucky Dube.
Oh yeah.
So when people come to watch the show, they're coming for him.
Yeah.
Let him show us that it is his show alone.
Wow.
So I told people, you're not gonna dance today.
Okay, now I just, because you see, when we talk about dancing, I want to connect the dancing part with trompetes. I mean, from reggae music to trompetes, and trompetes was the biggest thing that happened at that time. I mean, like, what really happened? Because I want to really believe that there was some intervention of some sort from above, especially for you as an artist who believes in God, because I believe that God has given us different talents to display and entertain, educate, and inspire humankind.
Well, we were dancers before we could join any group.
Okay.
I used to dance like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And dress like Michael Jackson in the 80s.
Yeah.
So they knew when I come to the party, they must form a circle for me, because when I arrive,
Yes.
no one dances.
Mm-hmm.
The same was with Mandla and Jaros.
Yes.
They would dance and even win crates of beers.
Yeah.
So it was part of the culture. But one thing that happened where I know, now when I look back and say, what happened? I realized how God was pushing me. There are certain people that will come into your life for a particular reason and a particular period of time.
Yes.
I went to some island with Sister Pumi. When I came back, slaves fired me.
Yes.
Like Idube's band fired me.
Is it? What did you do?
I found the keyboard player rehearsing already.
Oh.
Because
did you spend a lot of a long period on the island?
No, I went to what was that island called? Okay, I'll remember. But I went to this island because I had just produced the album of Sister Pumi.
Okay.
Okay, now when they invite you in other countries,
okay,
you don't bring the whole band. You
Yes.
don't bring your own supplementary stuff and whatever. You come as you are with maybe few people, but then you will then teach the band that side how to play them. So I was the better placed person to teach the band the music because I was the one who did the music. So I went on that basis. It was just for 1 week. When I came back, the guys were very angry. I came back with a list of shows for them, for slaves, 32 shows.
For slaves?
For slaves. Because I was networking when I was that side. When I came back, they said, no, they don't even want my shows. I found somebody who was already rehearsing. I remember that day I went into Studio 3 at downtown studio because I was also freelancing as an engineer. Studio engineer. So I asked Daryl that I want to sit. I can't go back home after being fired because I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm trying to figure out.
You were processing it.
I'm trying to figure out how am I going to make a living now. Now I'm not going to be able to play music with slaves. So what do I do now? That was the day Trumpis was born.
Wow.
So sometimes you need that push. Before the baby is born, it is pushed. But the pains that come with the pushing, they produce something that they say it's a bouncing baby boy.
Yes. Wow.
Out of the pain, there's something beautiful that comes of it.
Wow.
And that was the birth of Trumpis because then that pushed me into now producing music with Abu Mandla for Trumpis. And as I was producing slaves, I remember going to Galo on a Friday because that was the listening session at Galo every Friday.
Okay.
Where they would listen and they would call it what? NR.
Okay.
Artist and repertoire.
Okay.
Where they would listen to new products and then they decide which one they're releasing, which one they're canning and that all. So I then had to present slaves, best of slaves.
Okay.
I was given to do best of slaves. But I didn't have money to buy a new cassette. I had a cassette that had Trumpis on side A.
Okay.
And I recorded slaves on side B.
Okay.
So when they were about to play the slaves, I remember Saib Teles keep on winding the cassette,
Okay.
and thinking that I forgot to rewind the cassette to put it on side A. Accidentally, he then played Skiangengoma.
No.
Yes, and everybody stood up and said, if this is Best of Slaves, must be spot release. Spot release means that it bypasses all the products. It must be released with immediate effect.
Wow.
Okay. And this was funny because we had taken the demo, the Trumpis demo to Task, RPM,
everywhere.
PMI, and they rejected it. But on this day, at the fullness of God's time,
wow,
it was just accepted like that. And that's how it happened.
Wow.
That's how Trumpis became a brand that is now known as this brand.
Wow, beautiful. I know there is a lot that we can talk about Trumpis. Now, let's talk a little bit about Kwaito. Because, you see, like, as a pastor, I remember in those days when you were singing Kwaito in the early 90s who preach against you because they say this is a worldly music, and though there was a music before Kwaito, bubblegum.
Yeah.
And now when we talk about Kwaito, which in those days it was perceived like a music for the thugs. This is how perhaps
Gangster
like
music.
Gangster music, like,
Yeah.
like what message was Kwaito conveying at this moment?
There's a story that is supposed to be in our book. Unless we don't tell our history, it will resemble that of lions that is forever told by hunters. And they will give it their own perspective.
That's a good one.
Now, Kwaito is a story that says, we are now in the new dispensation. We have now found our freedom. Okay, coming from an era, the late 80s, when there was so much unrest in the country.
Yes.
You have the black on black confrontation. You have the gangsters who were taking girls and, go and rape them. You have gangsters who were making people to crawl at the kitchen parties. So even the share world closed because it was unsafe in the 1986, 87, 88, 89, somewhere there. Now, post 1994, we are saying we are reclaiming what we had lost.
Okay.
One of the things that we had lost was our playing field, which was the streets. Remember that?
Yes, I remember.
We were playing umkusha, straten, we were playing tennis ball, we were playing all these games.
Everything.
We were playing in the streets. But we lost that freedom due to the taxi violence that was happening concurrently with what was happening politically. And those gangsters who took advantage of the political unrest and then came up with their criminal activities, but pretending to be politically driven.
Yeah.
Now, post 1994, we're saying we are reclaiming the streets, the inception, the reception, and the inception, the conception, the reception of Kwaito.
Okay.
Kwaito, my culture.
I remember, yeah.
There's a book that I'm writing based on that Kwaito, my culture. Because, as you correctly say, even at the highest office of Thabo Mbeki, he said Kwaito is a disruptive youth subculture. Yeah. That is why we had to get Mandela to meet with the Kwaito artist at Gold Reef City to make, peace, because he was seen as a peacemaker after Thabo Mbeki, President Thabo Mbeki had said what he had said.
Yeah.
So we had to mend the relationship between ANC and the Kwaito artist through Madiba.
Okay.
So the story behind Kwaito says, we had lost these streets, and therefore we are going to introduce this Kwaito through street bashes. If you remember, we had street bashes.
I remember
instead of going to the stadium.
Yeah.
Okay, like the music before that you're referring to as bubblegum. They don't want us to call it bubblegum.
Is it? Okay.
No, it's derogatory. It's a very derogatory term.
Okay.
Now, we closed the streets because we were saying, taxi owners, taxi drivers, these are our streets. That's why we introduced it through street
We are
bashes.
reclaiming them back.
Yeah, we are reclaiming the streets. We then went into the airways. We said, we are tired of being dominated by foreign content, your American music and European. That's why the YFM became number one station, because of playing Kwaito music. Okay, so it was a revolution in a way. We were also saying one of the things that we were criticized for was that our music doesn't have much message. We're repeating one and the same thing.
Yeah.
Bangen
or sangen, right through. Yeah.
They did not understand that was part of our therapy that we're giving our people.
Beautiful.
Okay. Remember, we're coming from the era where you had the Stimelers, the Sankomotas, who were politically driving messages hidden behind certain terms. Who killed Marshall? Who ski? What was he saying? Chick was saying, who ski Marshall? instead of saying who killed, because there was censorship of media. The certain songs that he Vavas Manelo, where was Vavas Manelo? Manelo, where are you? We miss you, Manelo. He was saying, we miss you, Mandela. Where are you? But because he couldn't mention the name of Mandela, he had to hide it.
It was a forbidden name.
Yes, he had to hide it behind Manelo. But we understood. Now, those were politically driven songs. Now, post-1994, Sikyang Ngoma, we're bringing people back to celebrate. That is why we had Sikyang Ngoma, because we're saying it's time for us to celebrate. You look at Mandoza would say, that was the message from the Youth League saying, it's time for us to seize the opportunities. Ata would say, don't call me K-word, that we are now scared to. I don't know why we're scared to mention that word. Don't call me the K-word, because now we are free. So we were responding even to the political messages of that time, post-1994. Okay, but many people did not understand this. It's a story that has never been told, as I said. But be that as it may, we'll see it in the book as we complete the book to say these are some of the things that were political about Kwaito.
Yeah.
We were saying, don't see, even our dress code, don't see me in sneakers and sporty and dickies, and then you think I'm a gangster. You remember the story I told about the bank, FNB?
Yes.
Where we were going to change our checks, innocently going to change our first royalties.
Okay.
And we ended up surrounded by police, the whole bank surrounded by police, that they were saying, these 4 young gangster
It was
guys, me, Mandla, Jaros, and Zain. Yeah. So these guys have got big checks. We suspect that they've stolen, and then police were all over around in Elof Street, that FNB. Because the whole idea was that when you are seen wearing an all-star sporty dickies, you are a gangster.
Yeah.
Okay. But what they did not say was that these things are made in USA.
Absolutely.
It's a brand from USA.
Yeah.
But we opted it because that's what we grew up with, and we didn't want to leave behind our fans. We wanted to wear something that they can afford and be able to wear like us and dress like us, as opposed to saying now that we are a big brand, so we can wear what is worth 50,000 rands, and therefore my friends, they feel intimidated when they come with me to places because girls are looking at me, not them. I'm wearing a very, very, very expensive attire. So we didn't want to do, and that's what has maintained Trompies up till now with followership that we have.
Wow, powerful. Now there's something that I want to throw in because this interview is basically focusing on you because you're a very interesting character. I consider you to be very interesting. Remember my past.
Yeah.
You are my entertainer. You're a very interesting person. Now we see over the years, we saw a lot of artists dying poor, both in the secular as well as in the gospel space. And several times I've contributed. I remember some years ago, Ubabu Mzwake Mbuli calling me, say, Mfundi, say, we've got a situation, there's somebody who has passed away and there's nothing to do, there's nothing for the family. And that has been a sad day for the South African music space. And years later, when we saw the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Zuma, appointing you at the presidency, it gave hope to many musicians, including myself. And then suddenly, we did not see you representing. I mean, from where I'm talking, because I might not know a lot of details. That's why I'm raising this issue. From my point of view, I never saw that strong voice speaking for people in the entertainment space. What went wrong? Because at that time, I think you were in a right space for you to speak to President Zuma one-on-one about the plight of musicians in South Africa.
I was hoping also that I would be brought within that space of arts and culture, but I was appointed as the stakeholder relations director
Okay.
for President Jacob Zuma,
Okay.
but also the hotline,
Oh yeah.
manning the hotline and primarily because he saw this strong character in me. When I could confront him, when he has done something wrong, I could tell him that,
Okay.
yeah, you have messed up, So I was that type of a
Is
person.
there an incident where you confronted the former president?
Yeah, we were supporting him right through his trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
And if you remember those days when he was even going to court, I was part of the court proceedings. And each time SAPC would show, would tell a story about Jacob, they will show me going into Jacob Zuma's house. They will start with that. So by association, I was like seen as, they are the birds of the same feather.
Yeah.
He's a rapist. Even this one must be a rapist too. So, yeah, that was the situation. But there was one incident, or there are a number of incidents where he has seen me carrying one, being able to identify, or rather to pick up that there are certain people who are not okay, and I will ask them what is wrong.
Yeah.
And if I find out that there's something that is wrong that is happening, I will confront those in power who are supposed to resolve those issues, and they would resolve the issues when I've confronted them. Now with him, I said to him, okay, now that you are back into that office that we wanted to take you back to, now at a higher level.
Yes.
It's my goodbye. I must go back to my sector now.
Okay.
Okay. And I watched even the inauguration of him as president. I watched it on TV, regardless of me having been very close with him. So, and then the State of Nation address comes. He then says,
okay,
sports is a unifying component of the society.
Okay.
He doesn't mention arts and culture.
Okay.
I wrote him a very scathing letter. And I said, I'm disappointed that as part of arts and culture.
Was this an open letter or was it a direct letter to the president?
Email to his left-hand man.
Not right-hand man.
No, right-hand man or left-hand man, whatever.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
Who was a woman.
Okay.
So I wrote to her and I said, please tell Baba I'm disappointed because in my knowledge, arts and culture in this country, you can't mention sports in isolation of arts and culture. It is the reason why arts and culture is not getting prominence from government. It's sports that's always getting budgets, big budgets, focus, it's on sports at the exclusion of arts and culture. In fact, in the context of South Africa, in the South African context, arts and culture should be an umbrella and sports should be under arts and culture. And I said, let me contextualize it for you. If a township boy, you give him a tennis ball, he's not going to run for the tennis racket. He will start playing it with his foot.
Absolutely.
With his feet. And if you give if you think of rugby, you will think of Afrikaners. If you think of cricket, you will think of Indians and English people.
Yeah.
So it is, our sports are based on our cultures. You give a white child a tennis ball, she's gonna go and get a tennis racket because she knows that to be the only thing that you can use to play tennis. So that should tell you that our sports are also categorized based on our cultures. They are dependent on our cultures. How we approach a sport, it is based on our culture. So for you to say sports in isolation of, I'm disappointed. And then 3 days later, when the president has to respond to the critics of his State of the Nation address, he then mentions me. I get a call from somebody who was driving. Says, hey, Eugene, listen to the president. He's mentioning your name in parliament.
Okay.
And I said, for what?
What have I done?
No, he's apologizing to you and he's committing that he will do whatever it takes to make arts and culture part of, and I was correct. I educated him. I was correct in what I was saying, that indeed arts and culture should be the umbrella and sports should come. And that's what drove the emergence or the merging of sports, arts, and culture.
Beautiful.
As you can see
beautiful,
now today,
beautiful.
it's called that.
Wow.
Let alone those ones who are crazy and dreaming and lost in the provinces, calling it SREF, sports, recreation, and arts. And you ask yourself, you are a part of the national body, but you call yourself something else. It's like a child born under you, but not using your
my surname. Yeah.
So anyway, those are some of the things that we need to fix.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you worked in that office.
So I worked under the hotline, and 2012 voluntarily flew to Durban to see Baba. It was around 7. I ended up seeing him at around towards 11 because he was busy seeing other people one by one. Baba is such a good person. He's got a very good heart.
I think that's one of the things that we must commend President Zuma, is the got a heart for the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He was actually seeing people as if, have you seen how people see doctors in their surgeries? That's what was happening at his house. I got there around 7. By 11, that was the only time he could see me. And I said, voluntarily, I want to resign because my sector is suffering. There's no voice out there that is giving prominence to the issues. We had a situation of Mahlatini dying poor, and the president of the country at that time was President Thabo Mbeki, said this must never happen again. Till today, you can see, we are 30 years into democracy. We still see artists dying poor.
Yeah.
Because nobody has responded or has answered to that question. What leads to artists dying poor?
So how did the president take the gesture for your resignation?
No, he did ask me how am I going to survive. I said, no, I'm fine. I'm going to survive the way I survived before I came to. In fact, the salary in government was too little than what I was making at that time as an artist. Yes, it's the money in government. I mean, if I get, after deductions, you end up with something like 28,000, 30,000. What do you do? Living in a golf estate house. That requires you to pay 21,000 bond.
Absolutely.
You are left with what? You know. And
so your response to that appointment was more to save the people than to save your berry.
Well,
your pocket.
Well, even the government did not announce the hotline correctly. You know, there was miscommunication on it. People were thinking that it was for anything that you want to complain about.
Okay.
Like I would be called by somebody saying, a woman saying, hey, my husband, we are fighting with my husband. He doesn't want to come and sleep with me. And I'm thinking,
then they'll call the presidential hotline.
Presidential hotline at 3 a.m. I remember when he said I had to go to Alexander to go and resolve a domestic issue because President Zuma said, in as much as people did not get a clear message that it is issues relating to service delivery, where you are saying, I've been applying for an ID for 3 years, and I've been tossed from pillar to post. I'm not getting my ID. Then I would come in. Okay. Now people were just reporting anything. I remember one lady from Northwest, Dr. So-and-so, I won't mention the name for. Her house was about to be auctioned the following day. And she called me around 4 p.m. I was the only one left at the hotline, and I picked up and said, you know what, I just wanted to tell you that tonight, this day, it's the last time I speak to anybody. I'm going to commit suicide because there's nothing to live for. I did work for Northwest government as a company that tendered for services to provide services. I reported they owe me 9 million. And they've been owing me this money. It's now the 11th month. I've lost staff members. I've lost my workers. I've lost my company now. Now I'm about to lose the only thing that I need to leave for my children. So rather than seeing that happening tomorrow, as it will be auctioned tomorrow, I would rather die today. So thank you very much, South African government, for that. I said, please,
Wow.
ma'am.
So this person is calling you.
Yeah, no, he was calling the hotline.
Oh, yeah.
Because people, when they call the hotline, they thought that they would hear the president on the other side.
I see.
So I was acting as the president at the time. When I pick up the call, I become the president of the country immediately. So she says that, and I said, please, 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 wait. I spoke to that lady for 2 hours. 2 hours. Trying to say, please don't. I promise you, if by Friday, it was on Tuesday, by Friday, I haven't resolved the matter, then you can commit suicide. You can come and commit suicide in front of me. And I said, please hold on. I then called the bank. It was ABSA. Called the bank and I said, this is from the office of the president. Yes, sir, what can you do? Said, you have a house that you are going to be auctioning tomorrow. I need you to put a hold on that situation. I'm going to resolve the matter. The lady is owed by government 9 million. By tomorrow, I will give you a confirmation as to when the amount that she owes, the areas in full, are going to be paid. Okay. And I called Northwest, sanctioned them to Union Building. The following day at 12 noon, they were at the Union Building.
Wow.
I said, what's your problem? Resolve this issue. That day, it was resolved. This lady got paid even an interest because I insisted that they must pay her interest on them. So she saved the house. I don't know what happened to that doctor. She never came back to me to say, thank you. But that was that was the reason for the hotline.
Beautiful.
But I felt that at some point I was absorbing. I'm so caring, too caring, stupidly caring, that I absorb people's problems and make them mine. I ended up in hospital. For 3-4 days I was on drip because I was stressing. I was taking so much problems from the country. I then developed a tag that says, I can't be the one who's complaining. When somebody asks me, how are you? I say, I have no complaints. And the reason being that I lost the luxury when I joined the presidential hotline. Wow. I can't be the one who's complaining anymore.
I hear you. Wow. Now, Honorable Mthetwa, I see you leaving the presidential hotline office or the presidential office, and the other time I was going through social media, wow, I see you chaining yourself at the Union Building, and somebody called me, hey Phiri, I think your friend has gone nuts. Your friend has gone banana. I said, what's going on? He said he has chained himself at the Union Building. I mean, then I got the whole story, and I was so much touched. And I know the whole issue touched a lot of people. What went into your mind for you to do that?
It was just after, it was not over, but just after COVID.
Okay.
And remember that our sector was still the only one that stayed even longer under lockdown.
Yes. With
the restrictions that when you go to the funeral, 50 people.
Yeah, same like churches as well. They fall into that category,
So I then thought, just woke up one day and I said, you know what, I've been writing letters and doing what. I took my
Who was the president, by the way, this time around? It was President CR.
It was President Cyril. It was at Sambro where I went to change myself. The Union Building was a picketing.
Yes, I see.
That. Yes.
Okay.
So I went. For the correction. I decided I'm going to get into a taxi because they know my car. If I drive my car, they will see that Eugene is here and probably not allow me to go in. I drafted an email, took my laptop, ready to send that email, went to Sambro, got there, said as if I'm coming to consult, changed myself, and then I sent an email that I'm in the building and I'm not moving an inch until I get the CEO, the COO, whoever coming here to sit with me and explain what are the causes of this maladministration that we are picking up.
At
This
Sambro.
was around the portal.
You know, for those that are watching our program who might not know what SAMRO stands for, may you please educate us?
It's
in
the
that
South African Music Rights Organization,
Absolutely.
SAMRO.
Yes.
The only music rights organization in South Africa, the monopoly that we're talking about as EFF. Now, there was something so wrong that I picked up. And you know, many people, many artists, which is also talks to the issue of artists dying poor, how
Yeah.
they die poor. Artists, and specifically, let me talk about when it comes to Sambro, it's composers, but people always, you know, use this thing as if as it is intertwined.
Okay.
The artist and composer, to them it's the same, but Sambro deals with composers' rights and publishers' rights.
Oh, okay.
So I realized that there was so much maladministration around the songs. We had songs like Mahasmane that appeared on the system 48 times with different work numbers, meaning that it was like Yazimoto my pindiwe.
Yeah. Yeah.
No scarce.
Yes.
And but having chase numbers, different chase numbers, but the same car.
Yeah. I see
So
one,
that
yeah.
was the situation on the portal, that we have 48 songs that have different work numbers. And I'm asking, if you were to pay any of these Mahasman songs, which one would you decide this is the one that was played today when it appears 48 times? And others have got different names, Mahasmane with an I at the end, Mahasmane with Lebu Matosa, but it's the same song.
Yeah.
So I realized it was deliberately done so that it creates a cloud of some sort of something like there's a dispute around that song. So when there's a dispute, then they don't pay the royalties. Then the royalties go into a suspense account. And after 3 years, then it prescribes and then it gets paid. And who benefits from that? It's publishers.
Oh.
Yeah. The more ends.
That is corruption at the highest level.
Yes. The more you earn, the more you get royalties from this one. It's called non-royalty distribution. You can hear the name non-royalty distribution, meaning that it is not your royalties, but you're getting money paid to you from people who are out there not knowing what's happening with theirs, and others who are dead, who has, and then it is categorized as unclaimed royalties. But how were we supposed to know that our songs are now on undocumented works? How did they become orphans, our songs, whilst we're still alive? You know? And then some people have been chowing. You know, all these years they've been chowing. I mean, from 1994, Skiangengom, it only appears for the first time on the system of Sambro, 2012.
No.
What happened to the royalties from 1994 to 2012? Okay, so, and they come with this then a defense. It is, you see, we can only pay you 3 years backwards because the prescription policy. And I said, no, you're not going to do that. Not with me. I know how you're supposed to apply prescription. Prescription, you can't apply it arbitrarily as you are doing. I need to be notified. You can't allow somebody to come and say, oh, by the way, 20 years later, oh, by the way, I was part of composers who composed Mahasman. 20 years later.
20 years.
And then you insert that person without verifying with me. And that's what was happening at Sambro. People were just putting their names and taking royalties of artists. And because the majority of membership of Sambro is people who are uneducated from the rural areas, from Maskanda, Bobanban, that's where they make money from, these publishers. They're taking money that is not theirs and making theirs. And Sambro has allowed them unabatedly for many years to be chowing this man. So I said, no, you're not going to do that. My royalties, you will calculate them from the day I became a member of Sambro until now, because if it wasn't for the portal, I wouldn't have known that our songs are on undocumented. And anyway, what leads to a song that was documented when it was released to be on undocumented 3 years later, 4 years later, it becomes new, it becomes something else, it gets new composers. Go and look at the songs that we released even before we had Kalawa. Skiangoma is one of those. It's another song. Now go and check who are the publishers. It's 9 companies from all over the world that I don't know. My company is not there. My name is no longer there. So who gets paid? It is these companies that we don't know. You know, so that is maladministration.
And how did you resolve that issue?
No, they're gonna pay me from 1998 until 2020.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
and I want it now.
You want it now?
Now.
Some guys are watching. They are watching.
Whilst I'm still alive, I must get that money with interest.
Beautiful.
Because when they give you advance, they charge interest. So I've been advancing them with my royalties. They must pay.
Absolutely. Now, this is an interesting part. But now, before we go to this interesting part, you know, like your fight for the musicians was felt by South Africans, and I've heard Julius Malema commending you publicly of the act that you did on that day. In fact, I might not put it in right words as he used, but he said, "Why must it take Eugene Mthetwa to go and chain himself to be heard?" You know, that was very much touching, you know, because I consider myself, and the reason why I'm talking about this thing, and the reason why I'm so much close to this subject is because as a pastor, I consider myself to be a shareholder in the space of gospel musicians, which most of them, you know the story, most of them have died poor. And I can't even mention the name of this specific musician. Right now, I saw a post where other gospel musicians are raising money for, maybe I can talk about it because it's already in the public space. Figure them low. You know, they're raising money for her. I don't know what is going on. You know, it's something that I really need to investigate.
Okay.
You know, it's something I've seen it in the social media space, written by somebody very 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 well known, and which I know it's something which is legitimate, which is not fake news. So I'm so much close to that, and because of your act, my brother, a lot of musicians felt liberated, and they felt like you are speaking on their behalf, because I think we're sick and tired of seeing us and culture ministers, for that matter, appearing with gray and blue suits at the funeral of an artist, and making donations of a certain amount of money. And you ask yourself a question: where were they when this artist was struggling? Where was this? Where were they when this artist was suffering? And that is very much painful, my brother.
Yeah, I call them vultures, the undertakers, because they only care about the dead, but not about the live.
The
alive ones. It will take us back to why I did what I did at Adam Jokes' funeral.
Yes.
When I protested against...
No, because I wanted to reprimand me for that. I wanted to
Okay.
reprimand you for that, because
Yeah.
you know, most people have complained about the EFF being promoters of anarchy in the country. You know, so
Yeah.
when I saw that, then I said, "What is going on here?" I see Eugene standing up singing, then he interrupts Ulona Umbali.
Yeah, MEC Mbali Hlophe.
The MEC Umbali Hlophe. Then I said, "What is going on here? What was going on there, my brother?"
Okay, let's start with the CIC Julius Malema's statement.
Okay.
He said that artists need to rise
Yeah.
and join Eugene. When they see Eugene chaining himself they were supposed to
Yes.
rise and go and chain themselves too.
Yes,
Because
yes.
my struggle is their struggle too. Artists are cowards. You know, the actors are cowards. You know, they think that if they rise against the power, the powers that being, they won't get the jobs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is why I decided I'm going to go there alone, because if I had told anybody that let's go, that message would have gotten to somebody before I arrived.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I decided I'm going to go there alone, because I have been trying to do things to fight the struggles, but always we are selling out. Tina, ourselves, we are selling out at others who are trying to fight the good fight. And then the issue of Gambali,
Yeah.
I decided I'm going to do that because I was the one who was helping Jokes to apply for the relief fund.
Is it?
Yes. And he never got any response. He got the acknowledgement, but never got any response. And those relief funds were like, you remember Minister Nathi Mthetwa said, Eugene was one of the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries of 10,000 rand in 3 years. That was supposed to carry me for the 3 years period of lockdown. Okay. Now, that's what he was talking about, the beneficiaries. Now,
Did he
I'm
mention
saying...
the price? Nathi Mthetwa.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
It was in the newspapers.
Oh, yeah.
That I'm one of the beneficiaries because I was one of the people who was making so much noise against Nathi. I'm the one person who was saying that Nathi must go. If you remember, even about the flag, I was the first one to say, flag is light kune lockdown, kune load shedding. There's no such. So now Mjokes dies. We're coming from a show. We just had a performance at the sofa. Jokes dies. When he dies, the very department that could not give him relief fund,
yes,
it's now approving without an application from Jokes. Now he's gone.
No, this is a joke.
Yeah, they are approving the Marquee catering, and because of that, now they must brand the whole place. With their banners, with their pull-up banners. Not even a single pull-up banner of Jokes was there. Okay? Now it looks like we are burying a government official. And I told them when I arrived there, I said, you're not going to see that.
Yeah.
Remove these things. And they said, no, but the MEC must put those things on. I said, okay, fine. Sat there. When it was time for her to speak, I stood up.
I saw that one.
And I started singing the very song that was sung by Jokes. Sweetie Love. I sang that and I said, you're not going to speak. You don't know us when. You know us when we are dead. When we are alive, you don't know us. So you're not going to speak here. At least Mbalula can speak. Even Mbalula was not supposed to speak there. But because, like the cowards that we have, there's Kalawa standing up and say, hey, this is not our culture. We want to apologize. And I said, what culture? I've never been part of any culture. I say, Kalawa doesn't have culture. Don't tell me that that's not Kalawa. I'm not speaking here or standing up here as Kalawa. I'm standing up as Eugene, the cultural activist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was joined by the Mzwakes and, real people who are at the forefront of the struggle of artists. These puppets are... So I did not even bother myself with them, but the message went home because that thing went so viral that everybody was saying, wow.
Yeah.
Even though my concern was, then Africans, they come with this Africanism that doesn't exist. Hey, is it African for you to disrupt the funeral? And I said, is it African for MEC Mbali to hijack a funeral and come and read a cold speech that is written down? You saw Mbalula spoke from no written speech. Because he knows us. CIC Julius spoke from the bottom of his heart with no written speech. Mbali comes and speaks. She was actually sponsoring that funeral, which is something that I've been against it. That if you want to dignify me, how do you dignify me by a sponsored funeral? Because it says that I died with no money.
Sure.
This was a director at Kalawa. Why would Jokes be donated food and Maki when he was a director at Kalawa? Anyway.
Wow. Now the interesting part, very interesting, because I would need you to explain to the viewers, because they're very much interested in this story. For a very long time, you've been seen on television supporting Jacob Zuma, which is the ANC, and you have been seen in some places in the ANC, the Garia. Then suddenly, You are a member of parliament of the EFF. What a switch. What really happened?
That speech that you had from Julius,
Yeah.
okay? I'll take you from that part, going backwards.
Okay.
When I had, you see, he was talking the right words that artists were supposed to hear during that memorial service. It was Joke's memorial service when he was speaking.
Yeah.
Okay. Mbalu was not there. Minister Mthetwa was not at the memorial service. Oh.
No, we're good. We're good.
Bafuna la kune prominence khona bazothola khona iplatform yokukhuluma makunama camera phezile, you know. So, but CIC came. When I had changed myself at Sambro, EFF issued a official statement in support of me. Okay, go back. During COVID, it was EFF only, the only political party that looked after the artists who joined EFF when it was not fashionable to do so, when they were starting. The artists like Abo Mandla Spikiri, Abo Alaska, who joined EFF at that time, at its formation. And EFF looked after them during COVID when we were crumbling. I mean, we were fighting for crumbs that were falling from the master's table. Yes, you see the 10,000 rands. EFF was giving people 15,000 rands a month for that period of the lockdown. Now, what more? When you listen to CIC speak, he doesn't end his speech without talking about the sector. Yeah. Which is what was not happening that other side. That other side, I was only good to come and brief the president when he's going to see, to meet the sector. I must come now and give him brief notes of what are the issues that he must talk about, what are the issues, the easy wins, what must he promise, what are the things that are not working in the industry. I must go there. But when they deploy somebody who's coming from the police, that they can't call to come and brief the president. As a minister of arts and culture, he's not good enough to brief the president. I am good enough to brief the president, but I'm taken to the hotline. Not even the Department of Arts and Culture or even the provincial. Okay, to say, please work with the sector, this sector. At least that's where I can contribute immensely, because I understand the sector better. I have what I call apparent experience, not the experience from reading magazines and newspapers on Sunday.
Wow! Oh, what a powerful conversation that I'm having with you now. We're about to close.
Yeah.
What are your last words, departing words to our viewers?
One of the things that I think I would say it unapologetically so. Where I am, I'm at the right political home. The political home that has shown even confidence, because one of the things that people don't have for artists is respect for artists. It's respect for the art. It is the regard for us as professionals. They don't see us as professionals. Okay, they see us as doing what they say hobby. That's why others, they say we are going to play a little teaser. We are going to play at the stadium when we are going to work. I'm going there to work and earn even better than the person who's working kabas every month, getting a salary. I get that in one day when I go on stage. But because it's not coming consistently, then it becomes a problem. Now, where I am, look at the manifesto. It's very broad. It is detailed in terms of what we are going to do with the sector. So I'm giving that liberty. I am part of members of parliament, something that we never thought it would happen. It wouldn't have happened with ANC, because ANC sees us as the afterthought, as that. That is why even in their rallies they say, when they are done